Hello, people of the internet, and welcome back. So, this video is about the books I read in the year 2025, and I've read a couple of books, not many. I actually read a lot of comics this year, around a thousand, more than a thousand comics. So, that is why I kind of felt that I read so many books. I read so many things this year. I kind of felt that, but when I was removing the books that I read, I was like, damn, these are just a few books that I read. So, anyways, we'll just start with the books that I read. And actually, the number one book defines this year for me as a person who creates, as a person who was in this area of creation. And this book is Keep Going by Austin Kleon. So I have read his first book, which is Steal Like an Artist, and this is his second book, which is Keep Going. And this generally defines um my way of creation this year is that just keep going, just build something, just create something that comes to the mind, hands on, like whatever idea occurs, just go on with it, do it, keep going with it. And don't it's like there are times when you stop, there are times when you like can kind of take a halt, or are made to take a halt, directly, indirectly, like it just happens to be a moment in your life when you're like you're just not creating something, but then something happens and you're like back in it. And so yeah, just keep going with it, don't delay it, the things that you want to create. And yeah, just whatever naturally occurs, let it flow, man. That was kind of defining this book, kind of, at least the title of it defined this year of creation for me. So yeah, keep going. Again, a very good book. I mean, by all means, I'm saying every book is good. So it's just that this gives you a good perspective on to, of course, just keep going as an artist, as a creator. And in fact, this is the only kind of, I would say, self-help or something, that kind of uh, a book that I read this year. Every other book is literally just kind of philosophical or religious book, and I just have one storybook that I read. So yeah, this book. Then let's jump on to the religious and a little philosophical side of books. So the first one is Shyam, which is an illustrated retelling of the Bhagavata, and it is written by Devdutt Patnaik. And again, an amazing book. I absolutely love Devdutt Patnaik's books, and I have many. In fact, half of this video is filled with his books. So, anyways, this book is, again, it tells us about from the birth of Lord Krishna to his death, from his breathing moments to his last breath. This is the book. And it's, again, the reason I think I'm attracted to these religious books, like, again, just this is the amount of religious books or somewhat philosophical religious books that I read. And I think the reason I'm kind of attracted to these kind of books is because I believe this is the way I write, and I think I connect to him in my writing style. Like the way he uses the sentences, and the way just the sentences are just kind of exactly on point about what he means. At least as a reader, I feel that, and I kind of like his way of writing, and it appeals to me. And so that is why I'm a big fan of his writing skills. And it just hits for me, it just sits perfectly. His storytelling ways, or the way he, you know puts everything together in a confined timeline, which is readable and understandable for the younger people, the younger audience. It's generally good. I've also read his Olympus, his Eden book as well. So even those books are great. I basically just love his writing. So yeah, this was Sham, and again, great book. You can read it as well. Then another book of Devdutt Patnaik that I read was Myth and Mithya, again by him. As I said before, that this is again a religious book, and in this book it was about the stories from all across, like the Hindu sphere, or like the Indian cultural sphere from all across India, and what certain things mean, what certain story signifies across religion or across history, how they kind of connect and build together a culture that we kind of follow. And that is what is great about his books, or like his writing, is that it has a very practical approach towards religion, towards kind of this sense of a thing that people are in awe of, like in awe, and he kind of grounds it into what reality is. And by reality, I mean what the historical reality of people would have been and the way it connects into their lives. And yeah, so it's basically kind of this stripped down version of this fantastical elements that people put in with its. Surely there are fantastical elements in the way he describes it, but it's not of awe, or not of like, oh, this is grand, this is big. It's with, yes, this is big, and what makes it big, why is it such great. That is what he talks about in his books. That is why I love them. Another book that I read by Devdutt Patnaik this year was Shiva to Shankara. Again, a great book. So in this book, it was basically how Shiva is like an ascetic, a no like a person who lives in freezing ice, cold caps of these mountains, and the way he enters a married life with uh, Parvati, and the way he becomes a householder, the way he becomes a complete man, to say. And so yeah, again, a great book. This book is better to be read than my description, because there is more to it. When you read it, you understand it more. It's a great book. I just love his writing, and I just relate to it so much. And yeah, that is why I just keep going back to his books. I love them. So yeah, just another Devdutt Patnaik book. Then let's switch up to a story that I read this year, which is The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. So Neil Gaiman is, of course, he's a very very well known writer in comics as well. I absolutely love the Sandman characters. Sandman is basically like a very popular DC character that he created. And so this is again a fantasy book, or like, so his books are, or what, from what I know, is that Neil Gaiman's books are kind of like a very realistic, with a fantastical underline, like kind of like Harry Potter. But but what I'm saying is, it's not Harry Potter, but the themes and those fantastical elements, those like things that are not of the common reality that appear in here, will kind of remind you of that. And the way he kind of merges those two worlds together is brilliant to see. And again, a brilliant book. I love this. I absolutely love this book. And the way he describes the perspectives of the character in here, the child, or like his friend as well, and the other characters in here, the way it kind of weaves into itself, like the way it's fleshed out, it feels like, yes, you are there and you are living that adventure. I wouldn't say adventure, but you are living that, uh that little bit of something that was shown in here. So it's again great book. And I know this came out a long time ago, but I read it this year. Amazing book. Read it. Like it's a short story. It's just this much. Read it. It's great. Then another book that I read this year was J. Krishnamurti on God. So this book, of course, I have the review out on this channel itself. So yeah, go and check it out. That's a complete full review of this book. And yeah, just to kind of talk again about this book is basically literally on God, what God is like supposed to mean for the people who understand, or what God actually is for the people who want to understand. And you should definitely read this. Basically, many of these articles or many of these speeches are same. They are like repurposed, and the words are same and whatever is same. But the more you read it, the more you will understand what he wants to mean through it. Because still, words vary, words differ. Sometimes one can mean certain things. That is why whenever his words are consistent, he actually wants to mean something, and he emphasizes on that. So yeah, check out for that. And absolutely, I would recommend anyone to read this book, because this is a very concise way to put what God actually means, or like what appears to be God actually means. So yeah, absolutely check it out. And honestly, these were the books that I completed reading. I have started reading. I am midst reading many books. I like, the reason I've completed these books is because I found them very interesting, or I found them like just on the spot. on like what I wanted to kind of like wanted to read or just wanted to get on to know more and more. So that is why I've completed these books. I do have a lot of books that I've not read. I'm midst reading them. I've started reading them, and those are a lot of books. So like I will make sure I will complete them next year to like read them. And then of course I've read a lot of comics, like literally more than 1,000 comics I've read this year, because again, that is a part of Rashman Productions, the thing that I do on that channel. So yeah, and then I read Jujutsu Kaisen Volume Number One. I read this year. Of course, I've watched the anime, all the seasons that have come out, and in fact, I'm currently reading the JJK Modulo as well, which is an amazing thing, by the way. So I mean, of course, I do know what goes on here. Like, of course, know the story. It's all over the internet. Everybody knows it. But yeah, I just picked it up this year and like the manga, and I just read the volume one. So yeah, that's it. Again, so I guess the people who are watching might understand the theme of this year, like what I was into, especially in books. It was pretty evident. It was more of like not religious, but a form of commentary on the religious aspect of society. At least that's how I would put it. Was the topic of the books that I read this year, and like what defines them. And yeah, so yeah, that was it. And I hope to read more books next year. I have a lot to read. I have a lot to catch up on, especially in books. I have a lot of half read books and whatever. So yeah, I'll complete those. And that's it. I'll see you in the next.